Hey friends, welcome to Kind Body Basics, and today we're going to be talking about jumping. So jumping is something that you might not give a second thought to. You should think like, oh, I should just be able to know how to jump. But when was the last time you actually jumped over something? I think that when we're kids, we're doing a lot of jumping. Maybe if we're into sports, as we get older, we're doing some more jumping. But as an adult, we might not be jumping quite as much. You might have concerns with jumping that, you feel a little pressure in your pelvic floor or you experience a little leakage. And if that's the case, I would encourage you to get in touch with a pelvic floor therapist and to go ahead and head on over to the Deep Core Strength progression on this channel and get started there. But if all of that is in check and you'd like to play around with your jump and your jumping, then let's go ahead and get started. So I have a broom here and I'm just going to be using this as my thing to jump over because it's pretty narrow, so I don't have to take a long jump. So you can use a broom or a blanket or a block, anything that's pretty low to the ground and pretty narrow. And then as you feel more comfortable jumping, you build up your strength and your practice, then you can try jumping over things that are higher or things that are wider so that your jump is longer. So let's go ahead and put the broom down on the ground in front of us. And there's a few parts to the jump. So before you even jump, your body is preparing to jump. Then there's the time that you're in the air, and then there's the time that you land. Okay, so there's a few different parts to the jumping movement. So let's talk about the part where you are preparing to jump. So for that, if you're doing a jump with your legs together, so both feet are lifting away from the ground and landing at the same time, that's the kind of jump that we're talking about today. You're gonna come into kind of a squatted position with your arms back. And this is gonna help. This is building your potential energy, building your momentum. So we're gonna practice this swinging motion, this potential energy gathering experience. So stand with your feet about hip distance apart, so that's pelvis width apart. And then you're gonna bend your knees and shift your weight back. So you're basically doing a squat, okay? There is some hinge in your hips, okay? But also your hips are coming back as well. Your arms are coming back. So we can take a breath in. And as you exhale, stand up and let the momentum of standing up swing your arms forward. Okay, so inhale to squat back, exhale to stand up. And the tendency might be to straighten up and over straighten so that your pelvis goes forward. So when you stand up, squeeze your glutes and just stand straight up so your pelvis is stacked over your ankles still. Inhale to squat, exhale to stand. So I'm not consciously swinging my arms forward. They're just going forward as a result of the power I'm generating in my legs and my hips. Okay, so that's your takeoff. Okay, and so now to think about the landing. This is the part that can be a little scary for people. And I totally get it. It's fine to be scared or nervous about what it's gonna feel like when you land. So I recommend that you know the status of your joints. Know the status of your knee joints, your ankle joints, your feet. make sure that you've already started waking up your feet with some of the self-massage classes on this channel, especially the Soul Food Foot Care class. That's going to be really great to help prepare. So when you land your jump, you are going to land with the balls of your feet. Okay, you're going to land with the balls of your feet, and your knees are going to bend and your arms are going to be forward. Okay, and so that's kind of the completion of the squat that we just did. Okay, so when you land on the balls of your feet, that means that you need to be able to articulate the ball of your foot and your ankle in such a way that you can do that. So standing with your feet pelvis width apart, we're going to do some calf raises. But as you lift and lower your calves, as you lift and lower your heels away from the ground, I'd like for you to try keeping your ankle joints going straight up and down in an elevator. So when you lift your heels away from the ground, do your ankles splay out or in? And if so, can you keep them steady in the center? As you're doing this, calf raise or heel raise, notice if you have the tendency to lead with your pelvis and try to keep your pelvis back over your heels. Also, notice if you have a tendency to lead with your chest. Try to keep your rib cage mellow and in neutral. Okay, so we've kind of woken up the balls of the feet. And so now go ahead and lift your heels away from the ground and see how slowly you can lower your heels down towards the ground. Okay, and again, you can do a quick lift and a really slow lower. I don't know about you, but my calves are talking to me. Really slow lower. Okay, so our calves should be pretty awake. Now, keeping your heels on the ground, bend your knees and let your knees come forward, okay? So we did this kind of a squat where our pelvis really shifts backwards, but now just do this one where you let your knees come forward, and maybe you can feel a little stretch sensation on the back of the backs of the ankles, like around the Achilles tendon area. Okay, and go ahead and straighten up. So when you're in, we've done the beginning. We've kind of talked about the landing a little bit. When you're in midair, that's when your legs straighten out. And then when you land on the balls of your feet, your knees are going to bend to absorb some of that shock of landing. So if you're feeling ready, we can take a little bunny hop over the broomstick. So use your breath to help you. You can inhale to prepare and exhale to stick the landing and jump, okay? Or to exhale to jump and stick the landing, okay? So again, you're gonna inhale, exhale. So as you go to jump, as your legs straighten and you lift off of the ground, your arms are coming forward. And then when you land, the balls of your feet hit the ground first and your knees bend into that squatted position again. Okay, so let's try it again. Inhale, exhale, okay. Okay, so you can try jumping as many times as feels good for you. And when you feel really comfortable and you don't feel any adverse effects in your joints, like your ankles or your knees or your hips, then try doing some jumping on softer ground, like going outside and finding a stick to practice jumping over. And then you can progress to practicing jumping over higher things, but also wider things, so you have a wider jump. So I hope that this tutorial has given you a little bit of confidence to tap into your inner child, and hopefully you'll be jumping for joy when you are just out exploring or having fun with your family. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time.